Hello, my people, my friends. Thank you for listening throughout this year. I want to do a podcasty type recap of the year. Everyone gets their recaps, Spotify and all that stuff. Well, honestly, I don't really care about recapping much because you can look back and see for yourself what we've been up to. I feel I've found myself in a new place of how I want to use templates for my writing. Ideas are coming together. I've been having to kind of streamline things because I'm getting ready to do some poetry performances sometime next year, in the next few months at some point, as far as I know. It is being booked, so if you book them, they will come. So what happened was, it's almost been a year. Another year of our lives. I've been really enjoying all the things that I do creatively. Probably the first time in my life I can really say that. I feel wholeheartedly. And, there's still little things that I want to change or make better, or bigger, grandiose places I want to go with all this. But really, more than just a recap, what I know you tuned in for is really the fact that I had an experience some years ago. I might have touched upon it in some previous episodes or something, but what I really wanted to talk about was, for some reason, winter makes me think of sleeping. We sleep more. I don't know. It's like the hibernation part of our living, right? And what I remember actually is this experience happened in the winter. It's probably around this time of year. It was just before Christmas time. And it must have been, it must have been the winter of 2019, I think, actually. Anyways, a lot has changed since then. But one thing that changed my perspective, I haven't really talked about it much to people, is the concept of sleep paralysis. I know that people experience it a lot. I've never fully experienced it the way people do, but I've experienced it on a more, what I would call, extraterrestrial or alien, or I don't even know if extraterrestrial is the right word. It's just kind of like a catchphrase now at this point. Because chances are these beings don't need to come from outer space. They just travel through dimension. And one way to travel through dimension is the astral realm, right? Now, what do I know? I've been studying and reading about all these spiritual things since I was a child. My 8th grade essay was about the pineal gland. It was about psychic phenomena. My teacher was like, "Did someone help you with this?" No, I found a yoga philosophy book, yogi philosophy, and I just found the pineal gland very interesting. The fact that it's not, discussed much. So I've been on this trip, this journey of self-discovery from the very beginning, like everyone else has. Hopefully your journey is still connected to the beginning in some way. I know we have some weird moments in the middle of these trips of life, but anyways, the heart of the matter that I'm trying to get to is that with sleep paralysis, it is more like, it might not be what we think it is. Alright, so the body might, we always are talking about how the body becomes immobilized, you feel paralyzed. Now the thing is that there's a good chance the reason why it feels that way is because, in a sense, yes, your body is immobilized, but it's not immobilized with your spiritual body inside of your body. Alright, so the trick is what they call, like a David Icke type or something, we'll call the Archon forces. There are definitely distinct other creatures people have seen, and see, that's the thing, is they use the astral realm and all those things, the dream realms, as all like back doors. It's like those movies where that's the whole, that's the or just, the problem is that for some reason, something for a certain amount of time has only wanted us to look at these things in a certain perspective. A long time ago, everything was word of mouth, so that's why mythology became what it is, and it becomes ingrained into our, there's a certain word, part of our psyche that we're born with. I can't think of the right psychological terms, but it's, the concept that there's just things that we're born knowing, and there's things that we don't have a reason why we just know. It's just like our customs, I really don't think it's just because when we're kids, we're seeing people do things, because most people grow up and they're not like their family members that much, it's like they kind of have their own life too. But so what we're saying here is that when you experience sleep paralysis, your spiritual body is just slightly outside of your physical body, which means that your physical body could be taken over by another energy body of some kind. That's kind of like what demonic possession really is about. Is the person's energy body leaves and another energy body enters. And that's the danger of alcohol and pills, is those things, if you don't have a strong enough will, is that you give it up and you think you're just giving up to the spirit of the high, but in reality, you're slowly eroding away your spiritual body, and it's making room for something else to take its place. Now, I'm not going to say I'm totally pure. I drink alcohol, obviously, but I honestly have never had a desire for being excessive with it at all, or anything. I tried. I was always the thing. One of the elders of my life taught me was the concept of moderation. Of course, having to mitigate that with the concept of, feeling it's okay to have your needs met. Some people aren't born with that right away, or they don't realize that it's, dormant there. It's all in our mind, right? So, like I was saying, what I saw was not a reptilian being. So I have in the astral, there's a point where your dreaming slides into another. It's more, they call it lucid dreaming, but it's kind of like a different slice of the dimension. It's not like the same place. Again, you have to imagine the fact that everything is eyes. Everything is about peering through your eyes. That's why secret societies is all about the all-seeing eye. No, that just represents that every single eye, an animal's eye, a human's eye, a bug's eye, every eye is a gateway for the so hard for us to wrap our minds around it. It's not like reincarnation necessarily means that what people think it is. It just means your spiritual body was peering through different eyes at a different time. And this isn't very, this is where science and spirituality meet. It's very simple. The whole 21 grams or whatever. It's like, people just have to accept that they are not just their body. And that there's something more to all this. And that's why we should ultimately, and that's what choosing love really is about. That, a giant wave, a flood, an earthquake, a gunshot, blade, something could take us down. But it's just really releasing the energy body. Pain. If anything, most pain other than death, which is usually drawn out in the worst. It could be a physical thing or a mental, emotional. Anyway, so what I saw was it's more of an insectoid. It looked like if a grasshopper or whatever, a praying mantis, mantis type thing. If it had like just human characteristics, like it had a mind to stand on two legs and and it had this authority to it, This is before I really delve deeper into the different types of interdimensional species, right? So what I realized, and I won't get into the personal story of what happened before I was sleeping, but I had this crazy vivid waking dream, and it was so traumatic emotionally for me that I feel like whatever it was, this insectoid is connected to me or something, affiliated with me or in some way. It's hard to tell. Was it like an emissary from something else? Is it something that knows me or whatever? But it seemed like it had the ability to control me being consciously awake or asleep. But I knew I wasn't inside my body. I know I'm doing psychedelics. I remember the feeling when I would be able to still my body enough, my physical body, my energy body to release it. And also going deeper into the mind, taking trips that are more than just an astral trip altogether. But nothing too crazy, You get to do DMT, but they say it appears at the right time. So I learned a lot without it. Not that I know anything professional or anything except for my experience. That's, it's kind of like the William Blake poet inside of me, so to speak. It's like your experience is proof. And it's like you look around, it doesn't take much to think. The concept of eyes, when you think of a dream, or you think of God, our connection to the Creator. You think of anything, the angels, the multitude of eyes on their wings, all about eyes. Just saying that like in a whole super society, supercilious way. Seriously, that's what the message is. That's the symbol. We are all the eye. We are one love, baby. But someone has, sometimes there's something that doesn't want there to be love. Also catalyst to make us grow as a whole. Because for some reason we fractured into a state of humanity, and then humanity created this sometimes nonsensical society to kind of cope with reality. Because time in a linear sense is like suffering. When you remove yourself from time linearly, you no you learn when you experience stuff. It's, there's so many people that will tell you. This is another one of them. And we all say it in our own way. We all experience it differently, and that's the whole point. Is you have to experience it for yourself. That's the truth. Everything is if there's something that's trying to make you experience it like someone else, it's not real. It's something that's going to be totally unique to you. It's real. Simple. Bye. So I noticed that I had felt like I was awake, but my eyes had not been opened or not being able to be used. Something was like kind of, it's all very psychic. That's what psychic power is, really. This insectoid is, because I realized that where it was standing, it would have had to been like inside the middle of my torso. So the only way that's possible is if it's in another adjacent realm to this one. The closest realm is the astral realm, right? And I was like, oh my god, I'm in the astral realm. Okay. The insectoid, that's it. It was almost like it was trying to give me a hint. How many people actually listen to this? This is, another, just a good recording for myself, so I can go back. If it blows up and gets a lot of attention, maybe it'll cause, maybe have a chance of losing it, but you'll have the information inside of you. That's the whole point as well of why I do all these things. I'm not just creating poetry or shots of B-rolls of film, digital film too. It is for myself, but that's what I'm saying. It's for myself. That's more than myself. That's how these things get created. Is I don't always know what the end result's going to be, but I put myself into it, and then the other end of myself responds. It's a call and response of myself. And that's for me what the healing and enjoyable and performing connected part of all this for me, what ties the room together. The rug that ties the room together, as your dude would say. So what happened is it's Monday, right? Alright. Yeah. So I'm in the astral realm, and I realized that something just switched me on. Just let me be conscious. Something was in control of my consciousness. That was very scary. That was unsettling. I felt very out of control, and that was the whole point. It was kind of like something spiritually pulling a leash. I'll be honest. I felt not out of control in the sense of like I was going to hurt somebody out of control. I wasn't physical. My body's paralyzed because when your physical body is like death, but there's still a connection with the cord. Now, if they could separate the cord, I don't know. Whatever this insectoid thing was trying to prove a point that no matter how powerful I might feel, no matter how far I might push against the wall of life, that, it's like it was like, kind of felt like I was an ant, and that was like the superior being to what, like when you're a kid, you pick up an ant. The concept that always messed me up is the idea that if you were to pick up an ant and look at it, it wouldn't even know that you're a conscious being. It's also it's a moving being too, but we're not able to. So that's what's also scary, that something like this, it's like, hey, I have more power than you psychically, but you're able to know that I exist. So what the fuck does that mean? Sorry, I swore. But all will be forgiven by Santa. So I just wanted to say that, PowerPoints, when you are in sleep paralysis, there's a chance you have to figure out if you are inside your physical body and you're paralyzed, or if you're in your astral body just hovering above your physical body, and then you would feel paralyzed as well, because if you're unaware of how to use your astral body, and it might also be that one of these so-called archonic insectoid or even reptile, I don't know those guys fucking around, but whatever it means. good chance that if they can kind of like halt your energy, you know, they have some kind of manipulative ability, some kind of form of magnetism, you know, or something. You know, what we have to think in terms of frequency and magnetism and energy and things. All the shit that Tesla talked about, but it's true, that's what he